Thursday, November 2nd. I used to be aware of every hour and every day, but now with soccer games and football games in school and cross curricular projects, whole chunks of time fly by and I'm amazed at what hour it is. Sometimes I'm amazed at what day it is. The last 4 weeks have been like that. They've gone by in a blur. It's not just me. Each member of our family is now so busy that we don't even eat meals together anymore. But I'm not complaining. I guess none of us are. We are all doing what we expected to do in Tangerine. We are all becoming big fish in this little pond. Dad is now firmly in command as the director of civil engineering for Tangerine County. Old Charlie Burns didn't survive the avalanche of bad publicity, lawsuits, and criminal charges being hurled at him. He died of a heart attack in his lawyer's office. Dad didn't even go to his funeral. Mom is now the head of the architectural committee, a block captain for the neighborhood watch patrol, and the person most likely to succeed Mr. Costello as president of the homeowners association. No surprises there. Mom knows what she wants for Lake Windsor Downs. What of the news in football? Fisher's fortunes have changed big time. In 4 weeks, he has gone from local joke to local hero as the place kicker for the Lake Windsor High Seagulls. He is now always surrounded by kids who, I suppose, look up to him. I guess people see what they want to see. Eric kicked field goals of 12 and 25 yards in a 20-0 win over Crystal River. Then he made one from 37 yards to win the Gulf County game 10-7. The following week, he was on the front page of the Tangerine Times sports section for making kicks of 40 and 45 yards to beat Flagler 6-0. Yesterday, he missed from 50 yards, but he hit from 30 and 38 in a 20-14 win over Suwannee. Everyone in Tangerine County knows him now, or they think they do. And what about the other members of the family? The other athlete in the family? The Tangerine Middle School War Eagles have won 7 games in a row, and I have played in all 7 games. I even started 2 games at fullback after Chandra collided with Dolly in practice and wrenched Dolly's back. I played all 90 minutes. In the other 5 games, I went in as a sub for either Victor or Mai in the second half. By then, we already had enough goals to beat most of our opponents. 10-0 over St. Anthony's, 8-0 over Heritage Baptist, 3-0 over De Leon, 4-0 over Seminole, 7-0 over Highland Park, 4-0 over Cortez, and 7-0 over Palmetto in a rematch at our home field. Those are the statistics of this soccer season. But I have to describe the feeling that this has given me. It's not enough to say that we have won 7 soccer games in a row. It's how we've done it that is so extraordinary. The War Eagles have set out on a bloody rampage through the county. We have destroyed every enemy. We have laid waste to their fields and their fans. There is fear in their eyes when we come charging off our bus, whooping our war cry. They are beaten by their own fear before the game even begins. This is a feeling that I have never known before. Anyway, I've never known it from this side of the fear. Maybe I am just a sub. Maybe I am just along for the ride. But this is the greatest thing that has ever happened to me. Saturday, November 4th. Back in October, when we all visited the Tangerine Nursery, Louise definitely said to me, "You should come again." I think he meant it. I know I meant it when I said I wanted to. But since that day, Teresa and Tino have held all of our project meetings in class. Anyway, I decided to take charge of the situation. I wanted to go back to the nursery, and so I did. Mom drove me through Tangerine on a sleepy Saturday morning. I had no problem remembering the way, out through the groves, along the long driveway, past the house, to the Quonset hut. She said, "Are you sure these people are expecting you?" "Yeah." "What kind of building is that?" "It's called a Quonset hut." "Is it safe?" "Mom, it's built by the Army. It'll withstand a direct hit from a 20 megaton bomb." "What goes on in there? Is that their office?" "It's more like Dr. Frankenstein's laboratory." "Please, Paul, give me a break. I'm worried about you out here." "Mom, it's a citrus tree nursery. The worst thing that could happen to me is I'd overdose in vitamin C." "Just don't touch anything rusty. You haven't had your booster shot." "Okay. What time should I come back?" "I'll call you." "All right. Be careful." Mom pulled away. I walked up to the door of the Quonset hut and knocked. There was no answer. Then from behind me, I heard, Fisherman, what are you doing here? It wasn't a friendly greeting. I turned and saw Tino and Louise coming out of the house with coils of thin black hose wrapped around their shoulders, like bandolera ammo belts. Tino and I get along okay on the soccer team, as long as I know my place and stay in it. But he has little use for me away from the team, and he has no use for me at all in science class. I swallowed and said, I wanted to find out more about the nursery. Louise said to come back sometime, so I did. What? You don't have phones in Lake Wizard Downs? Louise said, It's all right, Tino. I invited him to come back, and he's come. He pointed to a pile of black hoses on the ground. You can grab some of those and work with us. I wrapped a bandolera of hose around my shoulder and followed them. We walked around the content hut, through the rows of adult trees, and out to the baby trees, the golden dawn tangerines. We laid out all of Louise's hose, then all of Tino's and all of mine up and down the rows of little trees. Then we went back and loaded up again from the pile. We continued to haul and lay out hose for 3 hours until every row had a black rubber stripe running down it. We walked back again through the adult grove, but this time Tino sat down on a crate between two large trees. Louise pointed to two more crates which I hauled between the trees for us to sit on. He reached up, pulled off a tangerine, and tossed it to Tino. Then he tossed one to me. We all sucked them down hungrily, and Louise pulled down three more. I hadn't said a word for hours until Louise asked me, So, how do you like the tangerine business? I like it a lot. Tino snorted. Is that right? What do you like about it? I knew the answer to that right away. The way it smells. I like how it smells out here. I held up my tangerine. I guess I like how these taste too. Louise smiled. I asked him, What's the best thing about it for you? Louise stood up to get us three more. When he sat down, he answered, Just like you said, the way it smells out here. That scent. It's like nothing else in the world. Louise looked at me intensely, but he spoke softly, almost musically, almost tearfully. I walk out here in the morning sometimes, and I fall on my knees and I weep right into the ground. I'm overcome by the beauty of it all. I have tried to describe that scent all around in the air. I've tried to give it a name, but the closest I can come is it's the scent of a golden dawn. Louise looked away. Tina was staring at him with reverence, with no trace of the hard guy face he usually carries around. We rested for 5 more minutes and then went back to the baby trees. Louise gave each of us a small, sharp hand clipper, which she called a tangerine clipper. We proceeded to crawl up and down the rows, slicing a hole in the black hose next to each tree. It was back-breaking, knee-scraping, glasses-fogging work. I could see the sun doing damage to the back of my neck and to the back of my legs. We didn't break again until we had sliced 1,000 holes in 1,000 spots. Then we sprawled out again between the trees with our tangerines. Louise and Tino were hot and tired, but I was more like in critical condition. Louise said, I think that's all for you today. Tino added, Yeah, fisherman. You don't look too good. You look like a lobster special. Louise pointed at the Quonset hut. Take him inside, Tino. Get him some of that first aid spray. Tino actually took my arm, helped me up, and guided me into the hut. He found a purple aerosol can, shook it, and said, Close your eyes. He sprayed a cold white foam on the back of my neck, my arms, and my knees. I sat carefully on the top of the desk and said, Thanks. Can I use this telephone? Yeah, go ahead. Mom answered the phone after one ring. I said, Mom, I'm ready to be picked up. You all right, Paul? Yeah. Sound hurt. No. I'll be there in 15 minutes. I hung up and said to Tino, So, where's Teresa today? She's out with her daddy, with our daddy. She's helping him fill out some paperwork at the county building. Oh, yeah? Yeah, she's getting more into that now. She's learning how to run the family business. Tino paused. I was thinking. Teresa's real busy with that stuff, so maybe you should do the final report for the science project, on the computer. He nodded like he was agreeing with himself. Teresa thinks so too. In fact, it's her idea. Sure, I can do that. I waited for Tina to look at me. We could have a project meeting at my house if you like. I can show you the types of graphics that we have on my dad's computer, pie charts and stuff. We could design the whole thing. Yeah, well, let me talk to Teresa about that. I slid off the desk and started to walk awkwardly toward the front door. Felt like my skin was too tight for my body. Tina laughed. That's hard work, huh? Yeah, well, let me. Yeah, I don't know how people can work out in the sun all day. I wouldn't make it as a fruit picker. I'd be dead. Tina nodded. Yeah, well, you do what you gotta do. I never did that 'cause I never had to. He started to follow me down the length of the hut. My daddy had to. Louise did it too. But he did it 'cause he wanted to. Used to beg to go on trips with Daddy and Tio Carlos. He picked oranges down in Orlando. He picked tangerines over on Mare Island. That's how his knee got messed up. I opened up the front door enough to look out for Mom. Tino went on, You don't pick tangerines, you clip them with one of those clippers. Louise was doing that when he fell out of a tree. He was 12 years old back then. He landed on his kneecap, cracked it, and stabbed himself in the hand with the clippers. Daddy picked him up and drove him to the hospital. They bandaged up his hand, right? But Louise didn't say anything about his knee 'cause it wasn't looking too bad. And he was afraid that our mama wouldn't let him go along to pick anymore. The next morning, his knee looked like a soccer ball. He had messed up his cartilage so bad they had to operate. They had to put a pin in there, too. He couldn't walk at all for about 2 months. He was right about Mama. Mama told him he could never go out picking again. Tino nodded slowly, remembering. Anyway, after Mama died, Louise couldn't go anywhere. He had to stay at home with Therese and me. Tino pushed past me through the door. I followed him outside. He said, It worked out okay for Louise, though. He became a genius at horticulture. There's nobody better in Florida. I waited to see if that was all that he had to say. It wasn't. Louise plays soccer, Tangerine Middle School, at the high school, too. No kidding. Yeah, he was good. We used to go watch him. What position did he play? Tina looked surprised at the question. What else could he play? He was the goalie. The goalie? Yeah, they had to put him in there 'cause he was handicapped. I looked at Tino to see if he was mocking me. He wasn't. He was just making conversation. He was in the nicest mood that I had ever seen him in. I figured it was my chance to clear my conscience once and for all. I said, Hey, remember when you guys got busted at the carnival? Yeah, what about it? Well, I'm the one who ratted you out. They accused some of the Lake Windsor soccer players of wrecking that exhibit. The Axeman? I'm the one who told them that it was Tangerine Middle soccer players. Tino nodded slowly. Then he said, Turn around. What? Turn around. Look over there. I turned around and looked out toward the house. Suddenly, I felt a swift kick in my backside. It made me hop forward about a foot. I turned back and looked at Tino. He had a sly smile on his face. He said, If any one of your Lake Windsor homeboys ever ask you what happened when I found out, you tell 'em about that. Mom's car appeared around the corner. She drove through the shade of the house, into the sunlight, and up to where we were standing. She waved to Tino as I climbed in. Tina returned her wave and then walked around the Consett hut to go back to